Cheap Audio Man Randy did a video there the other day with regards to Class D amplifiers, Class A amplifiers, Class AB amplifiers, and tube amplifiers. And just like Randy, let's get into it. Have a coffee. Just kidding. This is decaf anyway. I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine. I don't know why. It just happened a few years back, and I just got really sensitive to caffeine. It was really starting to pester me, bother me, cause me grief. So unfortunately, as much as I'd like to buy some of Randy's coffee, I can't, because it would probably make me jump off a bridge. Not saying it's bad coffee, just saying it's coffee, and coffee sucks. Well, okay, so let's talk about some Class D amplification. So you've got your little, tiny little amplifiers, you know, your Fozzies, your, there's a couple that I own. Even my NAD is a Class D. My Crown amps are Class D. Some of them are ICE modules. Some of them are, you know, made by the company that makes them, or maybe they source them out to somebody else. I don't know. A lot of that stuff is kind of hush-hush and on the QT. They don't exactly tell you everything. What do I like about Class D amplification? Well, let's use an Onkyo's RZ. Let's use a Pioneer VSX LXX or LX505. These are receivers. These are home theater receivers. And the Class D feature in them is just perfect. It sounds good. It plays good. They've worked on it for years. I don't know if they've mastered it, but they've come damn close to getting it mastered. And they're great. I mean, whether you buy Integra, Denon, you know, like you keep it kind of household names. Like there's some other brands out there that are pretty high end and, you know, like Anthem. And, well, there's quite a few out there that are pretty expensive. Marantz. Don't kid yourself. I love Marantz. I don't think that all of them are Class D. Even the Denons, they're not all Class D, and either of the Pioneers, they're not all Class D either. But that's kind of where Class D shines in a normal scenario where people commonly use them. What I mean by that is you can go on any page, home theater page, Klipsch page, Onkyo page, whatever page on Facebook, and you're going to see a variety of different amplification, and it's always some sort of Integra, it's Onkyo, it's Pioneer, it's Anthem, it's whatever. So like a lot of the people around the world right now have switched to what most people refer to the shitty black boxes that can give you up to 11.4 surround sound. And I know, because I own a multitude of them. I only use 2 of them right now, but I own a multitude of them because they age, you know. A lot of them aren't future-proof anymore. Like if you've got HDMI 2.0, it's not future-proof anymore. You can't get up into 8K, you can't get up, and then it's going to be HDMI 2.2, and there's going to be HDMI 2.6. But for right now, HDMI 2.1, that's what we've got. And that handles just about anything the nicest TVs in the world can deliver. So let's move into Class A. Now, I've only owned one thing in my life that was Class A, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. You couldn't get the volume out of it. It was hotter than a hell's asshole, but you couldn't get the volume out of it. And it wasn't really mine, so I was just borrowing it from a buddy just to take a look at it. And this is a long time before I ever did or ever even thought about doing a YouTube channel. And he just said, this thing sounds so awesome, you got to hear it. But the truth is I needed to hear it with his speakers, which I eventually did, of course. He had some Klipsch speakers. I think they were Forte 4s. And yeah, they went up a certain decent volume, you know, 70, 80 dB. And they were rich. They were rich. They were just awesome. Man, I wish I could remember the brand name of that thing. It was all black. Um, it could have been a Galleon or something like that. Either way, it was really expensive. And it wasn't that much for wattage. Actually, I think it was Chinese. I think he had bought it off AliExpress or something like that. Anyway, he just wanted me to hear it. And he's a buddy of mine, so I listened to it, and I thought it was pretty spectacular. Um, so the next one on the list is, your tube amplifiers. Well, your tube amplifiers, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a little bit kind of confused with tube amplifiers. Not in the sense that, I don't know how to work them or I don't know how to do this, but like, what tubes do you pick for better sound? Did the amp come with the right tubes for the right sound? Or do I have to roll tubes? Do I have to buy a $500 tube, or two of them, or six of them, or two of these ones and four of these ones in order to get different sound? And why would I want different sound? Doesn't make any sense. I don't have enough experience with tube amplifiers to answer that question, but I thought I'd mention them anyway. Do they sound cool? Yeah, they sound cool. They sound different, but they're cool. That's what excites me about the Chinese market, because they have like Recreation 300B tube amplifiers. I think Steve Huff reviewed one the other day. It was called the Oil Lily, and he said it was just absolutely crazy awesome. And Hi-Fi Huff, I kind of trust him, except for when he starts talking about cables. But when GR Research starts talking about cables, because he is pretty much a scientist, I kind of listen to him a little bit. I trust that guy. He's pretty serious about what he does. But let's get into what I think is the right power. The stuff that, Macintosh has been building for years. The stuff that, all different kinds of companies have been building for years. Even the latest Pioneer is built Class AB. The stereo I have is Class AB. You get a certain amount of A, and then it switches to B. So you've got a certain amount of heat, and then it kind of cools off. Your amp doesn't feel like it's the devil's asshole, if you know what I'm saying. And the sound is spectacular. Actually, to be honest with you, the latest amplifier that I've bought, I've never actually heard better sound. I've never been to Expona or anything like that. I've been to CES, but you're always in a shitty room, or you're always in a shitty spot, and there's too much noise, and you can't really hear anything, but you get the gist of it. I've sat in on a lot of sitting rooms, I've even listened to the 801 D4s on a Class AB amplifier, which is supposed to be the end-all be-all of it all. And to be quite honest with you, I thought the room was a bit too big for them, and they didn't really give me a close listening position. The speaker, I don't know if the speaker positioning was wrong or whatever, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of what I was hearing, until he played some songs that were quite revealing, like, I don't know. He played, I think he played Hedegaard, and that revealed some of the bass, and that was good. He played Make Us Stronger by Ghost Rider, which is probably one of the most revealing songs for a stereo. If you haven't heard it, play it on your stereo, see how revealing it is. Ghost Rider, Make Us Stronger, just so you can remember that one. And I don't know. I mean, I know that Class D is going to surpass, like, the gallium nitrate and all this kind of stuff is going to surpass what we have today, simply because of cost. And cost is becoming a huge thing in stereo equipment. And don't kid yourself, some of that Class D stuff can get pretty frickin' expensive. Like some of the stuff that Andrew Robinson, Steve with Hi-Fi Huff has reviewed is just out of this world expensive. And for me, probably going to stay AB until the art of the Class D is completely mastered. And will that happen in my lifetime? I'm not sure. I think that they're pretty close. I think that if you buy an Onkyo RZ50 tomorrow, which is Class D, you're going to be very happy. I think if you buy an RZ70, which I believe is Class D, you're going to be very happy. An Integra, some Marantz equipment, some Denon equipment, some Pioneer equipment, you're going to be happy. But for me, when it comes to two-channel listening, which is kind of my favorite listening, to be honest with you, I even switch my AVRs over to two-channel every once in a while just to get that listening. And it drives my wife nuts sometimes because I'm always messing with the remotes and whatnot. And whatever, you know what I mean? To me, Class AB is where it's at, and it's going to be there for a while. Like, I would say another 7 to 10 years, I think Class AB is going to be... I mean, tubes never went anywhere. They were invented in the 1800s for talking, for communication, military, Class A. I mean, well, Class A is part of Class B. Class AB, Class A was invented a long time ago. Like I said, tubes were as well. I mean, I'd love to get a set of Klipsch Cornwalls and run them on a big tube amplifier, maybe 100 watt. But the truth is how much is a 100 watt tube amplifier? The biggest one I can find for a decent price is about 65 watts. That's on the Chinese market. Never mind a Macintosh 275 or a MC 275 or whatever they are, and that's 75 watts per channel. And they praise them, and I think that they'd probably be pretty awesome. I've never heard one. I'd love to hear one, but I don't know. I think Class AB is where it's at. That's just my opinion. You can think what you can, you know, that, like, don't get me wrong. I know that there's audiophiles out there that love their tube amps and their Class A and stuff, but I'm talking about the common man. What can the common man afford? What's best for the common man? Well, I'm going to go with Class AB. I think that's the best for the common man. Anyway, have a good day.